Right, okay, I'd like a motion to reopen the IDA meeting.
I will make that motion to reopen.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's nothing further on the agenda for the IDA meeting, so I'm going to ask a motion to close the IDA meeting. Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now what I'd like to do is, I want to call to order the Riverhead IDA, the Economic Job Development Corporation meeting at 5:56 PM. And I guess I would just like to have consideration of the proposed agenda and its adoption.
I will make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Now, I would like to ask someone to motion for approval of the meeting, the minutes of our meeting on December 6th, 2021.
I'll move that.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now, I think we'll do it as in the last meeting, let's take the organizational resolutions all as a whole. There is the appointment of officers, Resolution 0222, the appointment of committees, Resolution 0322, the appointment of council, CFO, and contracting officer, Resolution 0422, the authorized endorsements of the depository, Resolution 0522, and ratify the designation of the auditors, Resolution 06-22.
We'll make that motion to approve those resolutions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports. We have an audit report. I haven't seen that, Tracy. Do I have that to hand? Maybe it's here in the stack.
you
I have that one.
Oh, here we go. Let me see if I can run through this. We held an audit committee report on March 17th at 11:45 a.m. Present from that committee was myself and Anthony Barisi, and was attended by Stephanie Castro of Jones Little, Kathy Galway, the lead auditor of Jones Little, Lori LaPont, Tracy Stark James, Denise Cooper, our CFO, and our counsel, William. We were provided with copies of the draft audit to review prior to the committee meeting. We went through the audit and stated the auditor issued clean opinions on all three opinions. The financial statements were presented and no findings were found. The balance sheet reflects $757, which is an amount owed to the agency and was carried over from 2021 and paid out in 2022, and there was $1 of interest income. Page 6, there's a statement of cash flows, which showed the activity for the year. There was $197,000, which passed through to the charter school, and it is a biannual transaction that causes the fee of $250 per transaction, which is due to the agency. The footnotes on page 7 were standard notes. Page 10 was an opinion of the internal controls that were clean. There were no questions from corporate members. I motion to recommend that the auditor's report for approval by the corporation. Mr. Barisi seconded, and the motion was approved. And therefore, we also motion to recommend the approval of the investment report, the real property report, and the assessment of internal control report to the corporation. Mr. Barisi seconded the motion, and the motion was approved. We also motion to recommend the approval of the investment guidelines policy, salary and compensation policy, and the whistleblower policy to the corporation without changes. Mr. Barisi seconded the motion, and the motion was approved. We adjourned that meeting at 11:52 a.m. That's my report for the audit committee. Governance committee?
Okay, the Governance Committee met on March 24th to review the Paris report prior to its submission to New York State by the end of the month. Minor revisions were suggested for clarity and consistency. The committee completed its annual review of agency policies, including those for procurement, time and attendance, salary and compensation, and defense and indemnification, along with the statement of board responsibilities, the code of ethics, bylaws, mission statement, and report on operations. No changes to the policies or reports were proposed, and the committee voted to recommend their approval by the full board. The committee then discussed the annual board evaluation, and no recommendations were made for further action.
Any comments on either of the reports? All right. Then I suggest there is no finance committee report this time. That brings us to old business. And in this context, we have consideration of ratifying the publish and posting of meetings, which I think we have to hand.
Yeah, it was, I realized that the LDC had not adopted it, but we had did it in the IDA meeting, so I threw it on the agenda.
Okay.
It's the same resolution.
That's what I thought.
Same dates?
Yes.
Same everything.
So may I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who was second?
Tony.
Tony?
And the new business, we have two topics in new business, which is consideration of the annual audit policies and reports, which is 08-22, and consideration of the submission of the Paris report, which is 09-22. May I have any discussion on those topics? And if not, motions to approve those resolutions.
I'll make that motion.
Both items? Both items? Both items?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And that basically brings us to the adjournment of this LDC meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that, yes, 6:01 p.m. And that's it for today.